Alright, so now we're going to move on to your work area, and I want to ask you a couple questions while you're doing a lovely job of prepping the cake. So first of all, would you say that you're a competitive person?
I would say that I am competitive. I had to go to school with pretty much all men. I was one of 3 in my graduating class that are women. 2 of which of us were carpenters. The 3rd was a floor layer. And I have to compete every single day with them on the job for work. So I think that competing against people for cake would be a piece of cake, literally, because it's nothing like having to fight for your life for a job, you know what I mean? So I think that this would be something that I would be no sweat.
How do you handle stressful situations?
I think I handle them pretty well. I just take a deep breath and focus on the goal. I think if you start to panic, that's when you mess up. I think that you really need to just keep your eyes on what you're doing and not get distracted. And I mean, I can understand that these challenges aren't going to be easy, but when you start getting flustered, I think that's when you really get turned around, and then you start making bad decisions. And I think that if you just keep your eye on the prize, only give yourself what you know you can get accomplished, I think that you can make an amazing cake and you can get it done in any time.
So please describe now the most stressful situation you've ever been in and how your reaction was and how you handled it.
My most stressful situation was right after I had my daughter. Right after I had my daughter, I came down with a sickness known as mastitis, and normally it's common and treatable, but in my case, for some reason, it made me very, very sick. And I was in and out of the hospital for 8 weeks. And the last time I was admitted, I almost died. My blood pressure dropped to 60/32, and they said I was septic and that it was a close call. So that meant for the first 8 weeks of my daughter's life that I was in and out of the hospital. So I missed a lot of things and depended on a lot of people to be there for me and to be there for my daughter, and not having that bonding time. So it was really hard. The only thing that got me by was the fact that I could bring my daughter into the maternity ward, is where I was admitted every time, so she could come visit me. And my family and my friends, they were very supportive, and you know, I thought I was making a good decision, and I did the best that I could until I couldn't do it anymore. And you know, I just tried to focus on what was best for my family, and what was best for my family was for me to stop breastfeeding and do what I needed to do to be home, because that's where I was supposed to be. So that was the most stressful situation that I've ever had in my entire life, was the fight to do what I thought was right, but in all reality it was probably not the best decision.
Okay, so what does baking or decorating mean to you, and has it ever gotten you through a hard time?
Baking and decorating to me means letting that creative side of myself come out and just truly being the person that I've always been, but oddly enough has been kind of hiding. I mean, I only started decorating cakes while I was pregnant with my daughter, and a whole different side of me kind of came out at that time. I painted a big mural in her wall. I started painting again, and just this artistic side of me that I've always had just blossomed again, and it really made me not a different person, but it brought that person back out again. And I think that it's gotten me through hard times right now, seeing how we're both union carpenters and work has been impossible to find. Work is so hard to find in the city for all of us, and what we really need is a steady income. So trying to find a job doing pastry is difficult if you're not educated, and they don't care if you're good or not. They just want 2 years experience, which I really don't have in any other industry, like working for anyone or school. I'm self-taught, so they don't really care to see what I can do. And getting through the hard times, it's something a little extra. It's, you know, a little bit something more income for us. And I think that eventually I would like to maybe start a business doing it, but, you know, we'll see how that goes.
Why do you want to be on the show?
I want to be on the show because, like I said, times are tough right now, and that income could help me start a business and have a stable income for our family so that we don't have to depend on day to day, and we have a stable income every week and not have to rely on somebody else to find us a job or rely on the economy or things like that. These are things that we didn't take into consideration when we got into the trade. We didn't think that work was going to be so hard to come by. And I also want people to see that everyday people like myself who are self-taught. I mean, I'm a construction mom. I'm a carpenter, and never did I think that I would ever be doing this or be good at something like this. So I think that that is, and it might be an inspiration to somebody, you know. I think that seeing me do this, anything's capable of happening. So I think that that's what I would do, you know.
So you may have already somewhat answered this question in the last question asked, but yeah, I'm not in a bad way. But why should they pick you, and what makes you unique and different from everyone else?
I think that I'm unique and different than everyone else because the fact that I'm a construction worker and a mom, and I do these cakes from home. I never had formal training. I think that I'm very relatable, even though I have this totally different weird side about me. I think that I'm still very relatable, and I think that people would want to watch somebody like me because it's not your everyday person that went to culinary school and worked with the top chefs in the world and learned from the best how to make these beautiful flowers. This is somebody that's raw and new, and I can be molded into anything.
So last question, what makes, you know, as unique as you are, what makes you someone what makes someone like you a good baker decorator?
I think that I bring like I said, a raw talent, like a different outlook. Like, I'm not coming from a culinary background, and I have new ideas of how things can be done and see things from a different light that maybe other people do. And my extreme cakes, like, I like to do extreme. So I think that there are things that people aren't necessarily taught that you need to establish and learn how to do. My construction background allows me to do things that people might not have thought of, as far as lights and movement and speaking, and these are some of the things I've already done. My cakes have talked, moved, lit up, and it can only go up from there. I think with the clientele and being asked and the experiences that I could get on the show, I could do anything.
I think that's a great answer. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.